What is up, gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be looking at and analyzing James Bond and using him as muse to analyze how does one develop and build charisma. What are the key traits of charisma? Before we get into the episode, you may easily try to dismiss James Bond as a fictional character and sort of look at him as something that is unattainable. And while some parts of that puzzle may be and will most certainly be exaggerations and things that are unattainable, we have to understand that when Ian Fleming was writing this character, that he was pulling in from an ideal of what a charismatic masculine figure should be like that was actually drawn and based off of social ideals at that time, and social ideals that still stand today, and honestly some ideals that are very much needed in this day and age. So if we were to analyze it this way, there's a lot that we can learn of practical, real world advice that we can pull in from these episodes. And more than anything, this is just a fun way to look at and analyze a character that is definitely cemented in pop culture as an icon of charisma, of masculinity, and of competence. So without further ado, we'll get right into the episode. Number one is that in order to build your charisma, you have to understand that behind every charismatic person is a confidence or an unwavering sense of confidence. Confidence essentially comes from the understanding that if push comes to shove, if anything comes your way, that you'll be able to handle it. It is the self-soothing that happens inside that tells yourself that I'll be fine regardless of the situation. And whether it's James Bond in Casino Royale, playing a very risky hand and being very able to bluff his way to a victory simply by understanding that he's able to capture or to get himself no matter what the circumstances. This confidence allows you to move in ways that you wouldn't if you didn't have that reassuredness. Confidence gives you the carte blanche to say what you want to say and to do what you want to do and to speak how you want to speak, because you understand that regardless of the other person's reaction towards you, that this does not change who you are, and that because of how grounded you are in your values and your beliefs, this confidence projects itself and it comes off as charisma. There's just something about someone who is confident in themselves that draws people towards them. They like that reassuredness that comes with confidence, that comes with the understanding that I will be fine no matter what. Next up, you can build charisma by mastering your skills, and no one does this better than James Bond. Whether it's driving in a high-stakes speed chase, whether it's shooting, whether it's playing poker, whether it's dressing well, there's a sense of competence that the character brings to every situation and a soothedness that he projects because of that competence. When we are competent, again, this ties into the idea of confidence. When we are competent, we know that any task that is put in front of us, that we have the tools necessary to figure it out and to overcome it. It is through mastery, it is through trial and error that you become someone that has that competence that bleeds into the charisma of the person that you ultimately become. Think of the last time that you were speaking with someone on a subject that you were very passionate about and that you were very well versed about. Think of the way that you spoke about that subject, whether that's fashion, whether that's video games, whether that's cars, because you know so much, because you've spent so much time projecting and investing into learning more about your craft or learning more about your hobby. When you speak to someone, you speak with more eloquence, you speak with more humor, you speak with more depth, you speak from a place that is extremely internalized into who you are as a person. And this is what mastery allows you to do. It gives you a foundation and a wealth of things to pull in from so that you can be charismatic given these circumstances. You can be convincing, you can be energetic, you can speak from true depth. And this is why I encourage mastery as a core way towards becoming more charismatic as a person. Next up, we can't speak about James Bond without speaking about his iconic dress style. Whether it's casual sophistication, dressing in a rugged leather jacket, in a polo shirt and some boots, or it's a much more elevated white tuxedo style that he wore in Spectre, the idea that dress is not related to who you are and how you feel about yourself is something that I don't agree with. At the end of the day, sure, the suit doesn't make the man makes a suit, but it is a harmonious relationship When you dress in a specific way, you signal to yourself subconsciously the way that you want others to treat you. If you dress in a way that is elevated, that's refined, that is formal, that tells others that I'm here and I mean business and I demand to be respected, the way that you project yourself, the way that you speak, the way that you introduce yourself, the things that you say will roll off the tongue. You have that physical presence that is supplemented by your attire that allows you to be more charismatic, that allows you to be more charming, to be more self-assured. And all of these things are tangible benefits that you will feel in conversation. You will feel in the way that you walk. Just think of the last time that you put on a suit, whether you're going to a job interview or whether you're going to a wedding. That idea that you put on your suit and it triggered something in your mind. It flipped the switch. It allowed you to stand up taller, to roll your shoulders back, to puff your chest out. It gave you a sense that you could tackle anything that the day brought to you. Well, what do you want to amplify that? What do you want to consistently dress in a way that allows you to feel that time and time again? Why only reserve that for special occasions? Sure, I understand there may be a lack of comfort in specific things, but why do you want to always be extremely comfortable in everything that you wear? Sure, there is a comfort in sweatpants, but there's also a massive discomfort in how you're projecting yourself when you show people that I don't care about how I look, I don't care about what I'm wearing, and ultimately I don't care about anything other than just me being comfortable. There's a sloven laziness that rolls off when that's your only intention, when the only thing that you care about is how comfortable you are versus how you appear to yourself and to the world. Next up is the art of conversation. James Bond is a very charismatic person because he knows how to speak. He knows what to say. He knows how to be witty when he needs to be witty. He knows how to be seductive when he needs to be seductive. He knows how to be serious to get his point across, to be clear, to be direct when he needs to do such things. And he also puts himself in a variety of different scenarios. These different scenarios, whether they're high stakes, high pressure scenarios where he has to cut something right off the cuff, or he needs to be a little bit more charming, he needs to be a little bit more warm, he's able to tailor the words, how he delivers the words, how he structures his sentences, depending on the scenario. Conversation is an art. So go out there, practice the art of conversation, practice asking people questions that get them to think, that get them closer to you, that get them motivated to speak to you more. These things, believe me, are an essential part of charisma. You cannot be charismatic simply by remaining a stone statue and just remaining there silent, brooding, serious. You need to go out and engage with the world and connect with the world that is fun, playful, and varied when you need to be varied. The last important part of charisma is to always be open, but always be willing to maintain a sense of mystery. A sense of mystery does not necessarily mean that you withdraw from the world and you become a recluse. A sense of mystery means that you never are willing to play all of your cards at any given moment on the table. It allows you to always reserve a part of yourself for yourself or for the people that are closest to you. When you see someone that has or wears his heart on his sleeve, and he says everything that is on his mind, and he's never willing or even capable of keeping a thought to himself. Is that a seductive quality? Is that a charismatic quality? Far from it. This is someone who cannot control himself, cannot control his emotions, cannot control the thoughts that are the tip of his mind. So maintaining an air of mystery is also about self-control. It's about giving people the time and the space to imagine things about you that they would have otherwise not imagined if you had told them the simple truth. So mystery and charisma go hand in hand because it allows people to project a fantasy of the person that you are onto you without you having to do the work. But the work that you have to do is self-control, self-restraint, allowing yourself to say less than necessary and allowing yourself to maintain an air of mystery regardless of how you feel in that specific moment. Well guys, that is it. That is a wrap on this episode. Those have been my top 5 key charisma tips that we can learn from James Bond. And again, these are some of many different tips and tricks that you can gain from watching cinema, from looking up to some of your favorite heroes. Take them with a grain of salt. They are what they are, but in every single grain of salt is a grain of truth. And I want you guys to use this as a stepping stone towards the person that you want to become. Look at someone that you wish to model yourself after. Whether it's a Cato, right? The Stoics had the famous philosopher and the famous Stoic Cato that they used to model themselves after. Find yourself your own Cato, someone that you can look up to, whether it's a religious figure, whether it's someone that you know personally, whether it's XYZ. Find someone that you look up to and be willing to model yourself after them, and then to go ahead and to develop yourself as you move along. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please consider smashing a massive thumbs up. It really does help us out. It keeps us motivated to keep pumping out this content for you. Guys, from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Shadi TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.